Yeah, I'm here to talk about Lee.
Fuck is that bitch? Up his girlfriend's ass, more in the yard of that green ass house of theirs. Go get that motherfucker, bring him back here. Yo, sit down, have an egg roll. We got everything from a Diddily Eye Joe to a damn if I know.
I'm not hungry.
So why you here?
Me and Lee are moving on to greener pastures. In this envelope is payoff money. This is what we've made from the podcast over the last 2 years, and not one penny more.
I'm fucking empty. You know what, Marty? You know what we got here? Fucking Charlie Bronson. You know what's funny, white boy? While you've been here talking to me, there's a monitor right next to you. On that monitor, it's a big old woman with her breasts is hanging out. You hadn't even noticed, because you're too busy clocking me. Now, I'm pretty, but I ain't near as pretty as a couple of titties. So I tell you what, Lito, I don't know Lee, so you and him could go do whatever it is you guys want to do your little podcast, and leave me be! Well, look what we got here. Douglas Wall. I sound like a white boy name. Marty! Go to that fucking Purple House! Get that fucking bitch! Bring him back here for my podcast! It's time for number 96, True Romance. Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Bridges, Doug Wall, and Garrick Plain. Maybe Lee and Doug may be doing their own thing. This is Tales from the Video Store, number 96. And ladies and gentlemen, today, this day in history, Lee reminded us that we are filming on February 9th. And on February 9th in 1969, Cliff Booth reminded Rick Dalton that he's Rick fucking Dalton.
That he did.
Nice catch on that one, bud.
Thank you.
That's awesome. How we doing, guys?
Awesome.
Doing good.
We are into a new block. And hopefully our computer will work, our recordings will work, and we will get going with Quentin Tarantino written material. Well, we've had 2 weeks off, so I'm a little bit behind. Let's go to the bulletin board, man. We've got some cool stuff. We had the Maximum Overdrive event happening, right? Well, guess what? In Rutledge, Georgia, on August 13th through the 15th, and then the 15th to the 17th, you're able to go to where Jason Lives was filmed and spend the entire weekend at, like, Camp Crystal Lake. That's the coolest shit ever. I may actually make that one. I may not make the...
With Tom McLaughlin, the guy who directed Jason Lives.
Yes, that's pretty cool. I wonder how that's going to work. I'm sure that the COVID regulations will probably be lifted by August. What do you think?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean...
No.
Maybe loosened. And it'll probably be an outdoor screening, so they'll probably just, I don't know.
It'll be people, yeah, and it'll be warm. You can just be in your tents. It'll be like a Jason Palooza.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of like that, though. Anyway, it's up on the bulletin board on the website. Check it out, man. It's going to be cool. They're also doing something, Lee, the Myers house. That's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, it's a replica of the house from the first Halloween, and it's in eastern North Carolina for some reason. But it's outside of it, it looks exactly like the house from the 78 version. But inside, it's like a Michael Myers museum.
That's pretty cool, man. Kind of like A Christmas Story, the one in Gary, Indiana.
Right, but with murder.
yeah, but with murder. But it's like the murder house. You won't see
I
any.
think that's some of that. You got to give it. That person loves Halloween. Even if I had the money to do that, I wouldn't do that.
Correct. I would not either.
Yeah, but if that's what you want to do, God bless you.
Hey, speaking of bulletin boards, are you going to talk about Without Remorse today?
Oh, I mean, that's just, I haven't even heard of it. I just happened to see saw the poster. Apparently, the Italian gentleman who directed Sicario 2, is doing a movie based on one of Tom Clancy's novels, and it's being written by Tyler Sheridan. The guy did, Sicario and Hell or High Water.
Absolutely.
And I think it's R-rated. Because it's not a Jack Ryan, it's one of his other characters. All I've seen is that poster, and, I'll give it a day in court.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, man, 100%. I didn't know
anything
about it either.
You don't know they're shooting. They just, all of a sudden, it's coming out in like a month.
That's pretty cool.
Because like when you're a kid, you don't really know that movies are coming out. You just see the preview or the poster or whatever. Now we anticipate movies for like years on end,
Right. Well, there's a lot of just birthdays and movies watched on the bulletin board this week. People posting birthdays. A lot of our bulletins, have been the news of Hal Holbrook and Christopher Plummer passing away this last week. Man, Christopher Plummer both of them, but Christopher Plummer for me, just because I think he had more films that I enjoyed. It's a huge loss to the.
Oh yeah, he was great.
What do you think his best film was? There's so many. I thought The Insider. He was great as George Wallace.
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
George Wallace was the racist guy who got shot, right? Yeah. Okay. No, I'm way off. Mike Wallace, yes, in The Insider.
From 60 Minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hal Holbrook, man, there's so many films that he was in. Wasn't he in The Twilight Zone?
He probably was.
Yeah, he was.
You mean the movie or the TV show?
No, in the movie.
I don't think
so. Maybe not.
No, I don't think he's in the movie.
No.
I haven't seen it in a very long time.
I know, man. I haven't seen that movie in a very long time.
That fucking scene in Into the Wild about Chris McCandless, and he has a scene where, he meets Halbrook meets this kid and is trying to talk him out of doing what he's going to do. It's like you can't watch it without your eyes welling up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He won an Oscar for that.
So good, man.
Yeah, it really was.
That was the last thing I remember him being in where I was. And I know he's been in other stuff since then, but that one will always stick with me. I can't even watch that movie again because of that. I'm good, man. I don't ever need to see
He was a really good actor.
Yeah, he was. I loved him.
Even like in something like The Firm, he's so nice, but then at the end of the movie, you realize he's just evil.
Yeah.
Jared Leto and Darren Aronofsky they're filming up again for Adrift.
Of fucking course they are, man.
Come on, good or pretentious? Is it gonna be?
Is that a fucking real question? What do you think?
That was the question I wanted answered, even if it was a two-sentence answer.
Oh, Leto.
Listen.
Apparently he's just, maybe we're the minority. Because, the dude has a movie come out every 90 days.
Yeah.
I'll get it more into Jared Leto when we get into the movies we watched. Obviously, I think Doug and I will have completely different views on that. But, what about this? Has anybody heard anything about Willow, this Disney show? They're going to do a series, Willow, on Disney Plus.
I think Disney's turning everything into a series on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Well, I don't fucking give a shit about it.
I love that kind of shit. I can't wait.
I made it through The Mandalorian. I have shit-canned my Disney Plus. I'm not getting sucked into there every 3 days coming out with a new fucking thing. I don't care.
Right.
Well, they
Although I did love the second season of The Mandalorian.
You finally got to finish it.
I got it, yeah.
Well, what'd you think?
I love it.
Yeah.
What
it was like I said, it just gives you, it's Star Wars without all the stuff that I've hated over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s when they would show Star Wars once a year on TV, It's like that. It's like, oh, it's special again.
Right.
And it was, man, I mean, Favreau really did. Like, the way I never saw that coming. Even when he was going through it, I guess we can spoil it now, it was a black cape, and he's got his hand out, and he's doing all this stuff.
When I saw the old X-Wing pull up, I was like, oh, I see what you've done here. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, oh, yeah, without a doubt. Without an absolute doubt. It was great. I wish that, I wonder, Favreau, it's going to be Robert Rodriguez, speaking of, doing the Boba Fett show, right? Favreau's not going to have a part of that?
I'm not sure. I know Rodriguez did the Boba Fett episode where they're, where they're on that planet where he sends up the signal. I'm not, is Rodriguez doing the entire Boba Fett show?
Yeah, I saw a press release that he was going to be overseeing. Maybe he's with Favreau.
Well, I really liked that episode, and the thing I thought Rodriguez said that was interesting was he said, the Mandalorian is like the man with no name. And he said, Boba Fett's like Conan the Barbarian. He said, that's why, he said, they seemed completely different in that episode, where Boba Fett was just dominating people. Like, he wasn't trying to, like, pick them off from 100 yards away. He was just beating them to death.
Yeah.
You know. Which, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
The Golden Globes have come out. I haven't heard of half of these movies. That's crazy. Yeah, I've wanted to see Promising Young Woman. I did see The Trial of Chicago 7. Of course, I'm pulling for that. I have not yet seen Mank.
Nobody has been able to do it. That's fucking homework, dude.
It is. It really is.
Exactly.
I want to be in the right mood to watch it because honestly, I don't want to go into it like almost like afraid to watch it. I want to enjoy the fucking thing. So I guess I'm just going to continue to put it off until that time comes, whenever that may be. I might be 70 when that time comes, but I hope not.
I wonder if Frances McDormand ever gets sick of going to these award shows. She's like Glenn Close. She gets nominated almost every year. Anything that she's in, she gets nominated for. She could show up and get a supporting role and just be a chick that takes a dump and talks, like reads the newspaper and talks to herself for like 3 minutes in a Woody Allen movie.
I think she's done that.
I
think she already did that a few years back.
And then Ma Rainey's Black Bottom with Chadwick Boseman, performance as an actor. See, that's a movie I haven't even heard of. And then
I tried to watch it on Netflix.
You didn't like it?
It was a play originally, and damn, it just feels like you're watching a play because it's all in 90% of it's in one room, and not in the Glenn Ross exciting way where they keep it dynamic. It's just. It's a play, and it's, no, I didn't really like it. I couldn't finish it.
But, it's an acquired taste, though.
Right. And also it's his last movie, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, too. And then Borat, can you believe Borat got it? It's on it. It's on the performance comedy. I think it'll probably win it, actually.
I hope it fucking does.
It should, right?
And also, but it's like, you only have to win 55 votes. There's only like 100 people in the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Yeah, that's true.
We've had more votes on the polls we put up on our Facebook page.
Goodness. And that is not.
It's not like it's
that is not saying much, people. That is not saying much. All right, well, let's get on with that. We can sit here and talk about this, but I just think it's hilarious. Like. Some of this stuff.
I did want to touch on the whole Buck Rogers thing, which somehow George Clooney started producing a Buck Rogers TV show and didn't realize he didn't have the rights to the character.
How does George Clooney, a man like George Clooney, end up in that situation?
I don't know, but about a week and a half ago, he got a cease and desist letter from the people who own it. Maybe he assumed he did. I don't know.
Or maybe it's just like I'm George Clooney and I don't need any. If I start working on a Buck Rogers movie, everybody's going to get behind me. No?
What? Yeah, I guess not. That's fair. And the weird thing is, the people who do have the rights, are set up at the same production company.
They're making something as well, right?
Yeah, it's at Legendary Pictures.
Does that even happen?
Let's talk about it. Seems so odd.
Like, and I thought the communication in my house was bad.
Right.
Here's a couple of assholes who've got offices next to each other, and they're working on the same project and don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because you know how much, I mean, even in pre-production, something like that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, hiring concept artists and storyboard artists and everything, you know, and casting. It's very expensive.
Oh, it's crazy.
You know? So they've probably already spent a small fortune on something that's never going to get made.
Oh, I'm working with, I've actually got a shoot tomorrow with a big corporate, we'll just say Viacom. I'll keep it, you know, I'll keep it confidential, but I won't keep it confidential because Viacom is huge, but the amount of money they've wasted on this thing. So instead of and it's just weird how they're constant, how they go about doing things. Like, you got to go get a COVID test, right? But it has to be a Viacom approved COVID test, and that's in Raleigh. So we're not going to pay you to drive down to Raleigh for the day and get a COVID test. We're going to pay a nurse from Winston-Salem to drive to your house and swab your nose.
Or you could just drive to the CVS that's 10 minutes from your house.
Right, exactly. And then it's like, we needed a director's chair, and it needed a black director's chair. It's been a huge thing. It's like, we have to have a director's chair. We don't, because the subject's fat. We're not even going to see the fucking chair. Right? No. We've got to buy the chair. And then we had a studio picked out. They already had a green screen and lights in place, right? But because the talent didn't want to drive 30 minutes out of the way, we had to get another studio that didn't have the green screen and was twice as much. So they're spending twice as much on the studio just to make the talent happy, but they're using a driving service to drive him there. So I'm like, you're paying for the driver. You're paying for a driver. Tell him wherever he needs to go, you're already paying him. I can't even imagine how much money they've spent on this, and they haven't even paid me yet. And I'm just sitting there going, it's all just because they're in Los Angeles and they're not thinking. Or because they're so corporate and they have their little protocols that they don't even like, it's crazy. So I can even see something like that. Going back to what we're talking about, there's so little communication and people are so busy just doing it and spending money. Like, dude, they probably paid $6 million in Buck Rogers scripts out there, and people don't even know who the fuck is writing them. It's fucking all over the place. Yeah. Just
because the money to them is meaningless. It's just a number.
That's exactly right. It is not. Where I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I'm like, I told them, I said, I know you got it. I know you have to COVID test me, but I'm telling you, I have paperwork saying that I just had it. Like, I can go to CVS and save your company like $500. Yeah, I have paper that says I've had COVID in the last 3 months. I won't have it again. And they're like, yeah, you're right, money. It's just a number. So I can see how shit like that just gets completely mixed up. Oh, here you go, write a script.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the guy in the desk next to you has been working on the same project. He's got 4 different Buck Rogers scripts too. Oh shit. I wonder how much money we've spent on that. Oh, by the way, it's George Clooney. It's crazy, man. That's just fucking crazy. People are complaining about the $15 minimum wage going up. Other people are getting paid. There's some dude that's written a Buck Rogers script that you've never even heard of, who made $700,000 last week for turning in draft number 4.
Oh, by the way, they don't have the rights to the character.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Just forget it. Just throw it all out, start over. It's all right. It's just a write-off. It's no problem. What's another $1.5 million just fucking lit up? Thrown in the trash. Oh, Jesus Christ. If we can't get another fucking sponsor for this podcast, you know what? I'm done. I'm out of here. I have something positive. What Do We Do in the Shadows Season 3 has begun filming. Woohoo!
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe one of the best shows on TV. Man,
It's definitely the funniest.
definitely the funniest now. You know, I can't even believe you guys haven't attacked me on this Christopher Plummer article you sent me about Terrence Malick. Like, I thought right when we started talking about Christopher Plummer, I was going to get the frickin' business, but...
Lee said he was going to try and be nicer. So I just...
Oh, wait a minute, guys. I have to disclaim because we weren't recording that. Before we started recording, Lee said that Bonnie, quote, said that she was being mean to me, or he needed to be nicer to me on the podcast.
Right.
So now I have it. Now a very good argument, like, you know, Christopher Plummer and Terrence Malick comes up, and I got fucking crickets. What's going on? Go on.
Well, I mean, Christopher Plummer was right.
He is absolutely right. I mean, I love Terrence Malick movies, but all that shit that he said in that article is for real.
Yeah.
He writes all this stuff
It's just
out.
some random dude. It's, you know... And by the way, here's something. I didn't realize... I spent my whole life thinking Christopher Plummer was British. He was from Toronto. I didn't learn that until like a year ago. But anyway... yeah, he was absolutely right.
Yeah, it's
He
still,
said he's a super... Like, Malick's a super nice guy. I would just never work with him again.
well, and it makes sense. It's like he writes all this stuff out and he shoots all these scenes, and then he just changes it. And just decides to go with all this cinematic stuff and music because he can't stand the performances. They've always said Terrence Malick has been. I mean, he didn't make a film for a very long time, but Terrence Malick was a visionary, but he was real hard to work with. So I can't find that Daniel Harris movie. What is the Daniel Harris movie?
They're hard to sit through too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, fucking grass for an hour, man.
Skin Collector.
Skin Collector. A new Daniel Harris movie called Skin Collector?
Starring our one of our favorite serial killers, John Jarrett from Wolf Creek.
So you got Jarrett, mate, and Danielle Harris in the Skin Collector. That sounds awesome.
Is that supposed to be fucking Australian?
Is it Australian,
It's
mate?
worse than my English. It sounds the same.
Listen,
Fuck.
mate. Listen, mate. Horror gal.
You sound like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
He looks like him too with his fucking big mustache.
I gotta cut it off, but hey, Horror gal on Instagram. DanielHarris.com. We love you, Danielle. We really love you. Okay, moving on.
Creepy. It's creepy.
God, what a creepy
Yeah.
fucking... Hey, at least she's my age. At least she's not 16. All right. Speaking of romance and creepy romance or awesome romance, True Romance is our movie. One of our... All three of us, I guess we can agree, maybe one of our favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
It's up there.
It is definitely up there. All right, man. Who wants to get into it? Let's go. I've been talking the whole time.
Since this whole month was your idea, why don't you give it a brief description?
True Romance is basically Quentin Tarantino's like wet dream when he was sitting at a video store writing this thing. You know, it's about a guy that works at a comic book store that, you know, gets this hooker bought for him, and they end up with a big sack of drugs, and then it's a cross-country thing to Los Angeles to try and sell these drugs so they can go off and live happily ever after.
And it is one of the best rides. If you have never seen this movie, it may in fact be one of the best rides.
Here's what I'll say about it.
Still.
If there's a better cast in any movie that has ever been made, I would like to know what it is. Because it feels and seems like even the most like secondary, tertiary characters, they're all amazing, and they're all people you know. It's just a who's who of Hollywood. You know, guys that
But Floyd.
yeah.
Floyd's awesome.
Oh, Floyd is the best. I mean,
yeah, like there could be a separate movie just about whatever the hell Floyd does when nobody's there.
Yeah, what I read about Brad Pitt is that, you know, he had been on Thelma and Louise, you know, and wanted to do something in this, and came up with this like Floyd character and was like, "Can I please do that?" And of course, Tony Scott was like, "Fuck yeah, you can. Come on down and play this stoner fucking dude on the couch." And he's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, all of his lines.
It really was him, though, back then. He smoked a lot of pot.
All of his fucking lines are memorable, just like a lot of other people in this, man. Like
when he's like, "Condescend me, man.
I'll
fucking kill you, man." That's like every pothead who is like only brave when no one's around that I ever grew up with. You know?
Yeah. But
Dick Ritchie. The Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, dude.
Come on! Like,
yeah.
And he was the annoying actor. And there was so many of those guys.
Like,
so many of those guys.
Val Kilmer playing, quote unquote, the mentor, which is basically Elvis, but the Elvis estate wouldn't budge on any kind of song use or anything like that, so they just call him the mentor. Is one of my favorite characters in the whole thing. He's fucking great. And for what I kind of gathered, Kilmer wanted to be Clarence, and, you know, Tony wanted to go in a different direction. He came up with this Elvis character, and when he did, Kilmer would call him in the middle of the night and sing Elvis songs to him just to be an asshole. I thought that was fucking great.
God, that is cool.
You know, just to be like, "What do you think about this?" And, you know, would dole out.
But to be fair to the Elvis estate, the movie does open up with Christian Slater talking about having sex with Elvis.
It does.
So I could see them go like getting like to literally the first page and be like, "Nope, not a chance."
Nope.
I mean, but let's just go through. Okay, yeah, like Gary Oldman. Tony Scott comes to Gary Oldman and says, "I want you to be in this movie." Gary Oldman says, "Okay, what is it?" You know, in his English accent. And Tony Scott says, "Well, you're going to be a drug dealer, and you're going to be a white guy who thinks he's a black guy." And Gary Oldman's like, "I'll do it."
Perfect.
Pass me the buona. I mean, he's the best role. I would watch Drexel. I would watch...
If he had his own movie.
Yeah, Drexel the Revenge. It could be called Drexel 3D, and motherfucker, I would be there.
That dead eye that he wears in his left eye is from Dracula.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
That's funny. So he called Francis and was like, "Yo, man, can I use that?"
Probably took it. He probably had some shit with it. He's like, "Yeah, I got this eye set. I'm gonna wear this."
Like he shot that. Like he shot Samuel L. Jackson for all that coke. He's like, "Here, let me get this. Let me get this eyeball too.
Let me put this little Dracula eye in, and something else. Maybe something with his hair or something came from it too. Something else I read. I can't remember, but I do remember about the eye. Thought that was cool.
That is cool.
It's fucking Gary Oldman, dude. One of my favorites of all time, dude.
Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite supporting roles.
I mean, we're talking all in all, what? How much is Drexel in this movie? 5 minutes?
8 minutes, maybe?
8 minutes, maybe.
So memorable.
Scenes, the drug scene and then the whorehouse scene, maybe 10 minutes.
You know who else is really good, though? Who almost has him beat? It's a different role. But Dennis Hopper, man. Dennis Hopper, just the way he comes in and he's like, no, stop talking.
Yeah.
You're just like your mother. I haven't seen you until you feel like that, like Christian Slater's father is Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
And, you know, when Christopher Walken comes in and, you know, the whole eggplant, like...
The Sicilian speech.
I mean, it's the way, and he's like, can I have that Chesterfield? It's just, I don't know, man.
I saw a little thing, Tarantino talking about that particular scene, which was his favorite that he had written up to the very beginning, that beginning scene in Inglourious Bastards. This was his favorite until then, and then I think he said, you know, I think that surpassed it. But talking about Christopher Walken, he's like, from the way I penned it, he, like every or yes or like grunt that he wrote in this dialogue, Christopher Walken did it like spot on.
Wow.
Just, I mean, like no improvisation. It was 100% exactly what he had on the page, and he's like, "Look, it's my favorite story ever."
That's probably why he brought him back for Pulp Fiction, because
favorite scene.
The fucking watch scene is amazing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
They're both perfect fucking scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like the thing about this movie. Most movies couldn't survive having one of their, if not their absolute strongest scene happen inside the first 30 minutes of the movie. Because it's such a climax. But, given a lot of credit to Tony Scott, he's like, he was able to pull it off.
I think that the script, man, and this is gonna sound completely un-Garrick, but I think this is one of those scripts that it was written so well that you and I could have directed it. We could have walked in and done what was on the page, with the exception I'll get to the end. But I think that Quentin wrote it so well. This one was so well calculated. Scenes were and I've never seen the script on all my years of even Los Angeles. That being one of my big ones. I never got that script. But I just think that anybody Tony Scott did a great job, but anybody could have done this one because it was just so. It was besides the casting. And if Tony Scott did all the casting, then I will retort my statement. But it's so well written that anybody could have walked in there and said, "Okay, just do what's on the page."
I don't
think
that that's true.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that at all. I'm just saying.
Okay, no, it's fine. You don't.
Yeah,
have to agree.
I think you could have given this script to 20 different directors, and you get 20 different versions. And of that 20, how many of them would stand up to what Tony Scott did? Probably none of them. I think he was the perfect guy at the perfect time, perfect story for him.
Right.
And I think Tarantino had a lot of faith in him doing it justice, and he does make a massive change to the original script about Clarence dying at the end.
Yeah,
but the way that he sets it up and the way he, from start to finish, dude, if they'd have killed him at the end of this, it would not be the same movie, man.
Well, that's what Quentin...
And I don't even go for happy endings.
Right. Well, that's what Quentin said in that commentary.
Yeah.
They show the scene and how she's going to blow her brains out. And didn't she got out? His commentary, it sounds a little bit condescending. He said, I was never mad at Tony, but I think that for the movie that Tony made, the ending that he produced was the right ending.
Right.
Meaning, I feel like that with Tarantino being the guy who thinks he's God's gift to filmmaking, was saying, yes, there were some changes and there were some ways that I would have done this differently.
Sure.
But how Tony Scott's movie was, this is how it needed to end.
Yeah.
I mean, for whatever it's worth.
But there was almost an earlier version of the movie.
Well,
this was the first script he ever sold, and originally he sold it to William Lustig, who we covered his movie Maniac last year. Yeah. And about 1990, he sold it to William Lustig, only because William Lustig knew Robert Forster. And he gave him the script. He said, "I will sell you this on one condition." And he pointed to the Sicilian scene, the Christopher Walken character. He said, "That guy is Robert Forster has to play that guy." He said, "That's the only reason I'm selling you this for nothing." And then Lustig couldn't get the movie together under, I think it was on like a year option or something. After a year, the script reverted back to Tarantino. So at one point, there almost was a different version that maybe had Robert Forster and whoever else is Dennis Hopper's character.
God, what if though? Isn't that crazy?
And when he cast Forster and Jackie Brown, he told him that. He said, "Man, I tried to get you hired years ago." And it would have been a very no. There's no way. I mean, I love William Lustig, but there's no way it would have been as good as this.
No,
because this is Tony Scott's best movie.
It's up there.
And I fucking love Tony Scott.
Yeah. It's hard to disseminate between his best. I tried to. I love too much of his shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
between this
like
and...
even I was watching Tarantino talk about the Drexel scene. He's like, what's going on? He's like, there's 15 fish tanks. He's like, everybody's eating at a coffee table, and there's a giant lamp hanging above it. He's like, what the fuck is happening? He's like, in a regular movie, it doesn't make sense. He said, but in a Tony Scott movie, it just looks amazing.
That's true.
He's like, should there be 15 fish tanks on top of each other? He's like, of course not. That's ridiculous. But when you get that Tony Scott smoke machine running, it works.
That's true. We hadn't even talked about, Lee, even Sal Rubinek, like Lee Donowitz, perfect.
It's got fucking Balky in it.
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh,
and Balky fucking kills it.
Balky as Elliot is amazing, dude.
And you know what's funny, man? And it's been a while since I watched it, until this last week, and I watched it. Something that I guess just sometimes didn't, I guess it just never registered. But when he gets off the phone with Lee Donowitz and he tells Clarence he needs a sample bag, I never put two and two together that Lee didn't need the sample bag.
No, he didn't want to get high.
The scummy, yeah, dude, yes. And it's funny because I was like, I watched that and I'm like, I've watched this movie 40 times. How did I miss that?
Yeah.
I guess it's just a little sample dialogue there that completely changes the course of the movie. Because had he not gotten the sample bag, all that would have just gone down without a hitch and everything would have been perfect. Like, he was the reason that everything got completely fucked up.
Balky was trying to get laid.
Yeah. I can't blame him.
I would have. You got somebody like Clarence Worley, you got a suitcase full of coke. I'm like, dude, yes, let's do something. Come on. James Gandolfini.
Oh, and the look on Bronson Pinchot's face when she slaps the cocaine in his face.
Oh,
it's just the best.
Just how he knows he is beyond screwed.
Put this in your freaking dress. I'm not putting it in my dress. Fuck you, bitch. And then she starts laughing at him.
Yeah.
That's great. I wonder how hard the scene. I mean, I know they're actors, but the whole scene in the hotel when Gandolfini's beating up Alabama.
Well, I read
how many times they did that scene and how much James was like, "Dude, I'm sorry."
I read that Tom Sizemore was originally cast.
Oh, that makes sense.
To play that role, and he was uncomfortable with the physicality of it, and recommended his friend Tony Soprano that they had worked together in New York on some fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's how Gandolfini got the role. I thought that was fucking awesome, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, Sizemore was moved to the one of the cops. And he's great.
Yeah, because Tom Sizemore is great.
Every fucking person in this is perfect.
You will find next week when we talk about natural born killers that I will be on my knees blowing Tom Sizemore's character because he's so good in that role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just that good. It's a shame.
But I would kill for a separate movie of just Tom Sizemore and Chris Penn driving around L.A. just causing havoc.
Yes.
As the cops.
I forgot Chris Penn was in it until I got into it, and he showed up, and I was like, son of a bitch.
He got him a heart attack, didn't he? He had a heart attack, didn't
he? In fact, I watched something later because of Chris Penn.
Oh, yeah. Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, come on. The suit, the gym suit. Like, dude, he's the best role in the...
Well, in trying to do a little, little comparison, contrast and comparison work.
I wanted to name my daughter, my daughter's name's Peyton, but I wanted to name her Alabama. And it did not go over well. And I'm sure in this day and age, it's probably a good thing.
You can't name your daughter after a fucking movie prostitute, Garrick. Everybody knows that.
No. You shouldn't. You totally can.
But you can. Yeah, that's true.
But it's the perfect name. That and Sookie Stackhouse. Why Sookie? Why couldn't you? If I had $2, it'd be Alabama and Sookie, and they would just be like, God, that guy's those two girls' dad is a total douchebag.
I'm sure they probably think that anyway.
Patricia Arquette was so fine in this movie.
Oh,
I mean, there's been some hot
she could be my favorite
prostitutes.
female character in movie history.
Maybe. I know. Go ahead, insert the jokes. But I liked Pretty Woman. I liked. There was another one, and I just lost it. I had another really good.
About a prostitute with a heart of gold?
No, just a hardcore like good movie with a prostitute.
Taxi Driver?
Yeah, maybe. That really wasn't what I was thinking, but whatever. I've lost
That's
it.
what Tony Scott gave to Christian Slater to watch. Because he said, I want you to be like I want
Travis
you, yeah, I want you to, like, be a badass. Like, when you go to see Drexel, you're fucking Travis Bickle.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I read a lot of
Go back to Gandolfini
nuggets.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Gandolfini actually wanted Patricia Arquette to stab him in the foot with a corkscrew. He was so into it. He's like, I want you to just come down with it. And Tony Scott looks at it and goes, you can do it if you want. Patricia Arquette was like, no, that's insane.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you just gotta have a normal person just to shoot stuff down.
Right. And you know that's funny because back then the insurance policies for these movies probably weren't as insane as they are now. Now there's no fuck.
Yeah.
Now it's digital. We're just using digital. Here, this is a green. It's like a green popsicle stick. No,
He's trying to get his foot in the door. Literally.
It's going to be a corkscrew and blood's going to come out later. You're like, really? No, I'd rather just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we talked about favorite God, I just totally lost it.
Like, favorite characters?
Yes, favorite characters. I'm sorry.
Okay, calm
I
down.
think I still got COVID brain. Favorite characters. Who is yours? It can't be Clarence and it can't be Alabama.
Mine's Val Kilmer as the
Okay,
mentor
so-
slash Elvin. I just love that whole idea and the fact that Kilmer did it and sound like he just sounds like where's the fucking Elvis movie starring Val Kilmer that we never got? You know, I would like to see a movie just about the mentor going around and in ghost form and telling people to do crazy shit, which is exactly what he does in this, and it's amazing. It's just a cool idea for a character. I think it's fucking awesome. But you can't go wrong. Drexel is...
Yeah.
I mean, Walken, Pitt, Gandolfini. We've talked about all these guys. Elliot, Rappaport, everybody. There
really isn't.
There's no saggy fucking part. There's no guy that's in this that didn't hold up their end of the bargain. It's fucking perfect, dude. It's perfect.
I mean, even, what's her name? Conchetta Farrell, the casting agent.
The casting director.
Yeah.
Was fucking great.
You remember that scene, and it's 2 minutes. She's like, Dick Ritchie, come on in, and he says 3 lines.
Oh, you were amazing. All right, I'll call you. Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
And I always assume when he calls and says he got the part, I always assume that was a mistake. They meant to call someone else.
Yeah.
Because there's no, And I love that it was on new T.J. Hooker, like they were going to bring T.J. Hooker back. And it was,
I wonder, excuse me. I wonder if Rappaport's career was ruined by his podcast. Or if he just kind of aged out of roles. He was in so many good roles back in the 90s, man. Like, and then he just runs his fucking mouth. He uses podcast and on Facebook. I just see him and he's sitting on his sofa and he's like the camera's like right here and he starts with Dick Stain Dick or fucking Dick Stain Donald, fuck you, and he just goes in and I'm like, I wonder if he just decided that
I think he just peaked after Copland.
Yeah, I think that was it, wasn't it? I think he just
I mean, he was like in the mid to late 90s. He was in a lot of stuff, but sort of after Copland, it sort of wasn't, he wasn't in as much stuff. He's really good in that movie.
Yeah, the last thing that I know his name was attached to was that documentary a few years ago about Tribe Called Quest. Yeah,
Higher Learning. He was great in Higher Learning.
Oh, I mean, dude,
he was good in Higher Learning.
He was great in a lot of roles, and not so good in some other ones. but
he's the same guy.
He is he's the exact same guy in everything.
Problem. It's the same guy.
It's Dick Ritchie in everything.
It's Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn's the same way. Vince Vaughn's the same guy in every movie.
And that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So, of the great Tony Scott that we lost too early, what's your favorites, man?
Hey, real fast, and I know this is crazy, before we get into that.
Okay.
Did anybody ever figure out why he jumped off the bridge?
I think he had.
I think so.
Was it just mental problems, maybe?
I saw that there were toxicology reports and all this that said that he did not have any kind of cancery stuff in his body. But then I also saw that members of his family were like, yeah, he had cancer. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to just jump off a fucking bridge, I have to assume,
there's a reason.
More than likely, he probably got a bad diagnosis and was like, I don't want to,
Yeah.
let's just get it over with.
Well,
I remember exactly where it was. I found out I was at my buddy Todd's house, and his wife walked in holding her phone. She said, Tony Scott just jumped off a bridge and killed himself. And I thought it was one of those fake internet death hoax things.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's a website where you can go type in a celebrity's name and it will generate fake news stories and you can post them online, which is a completely fucked up thing to do. But I assumed it was fake.
Yeah.
And then I gave it a couple of Googles and it was unfortunately real.
Yeah.
And I think I went home and watched Man on Fire that night.
Well, yeah, toxicology, he had some therapeutic levels of sleep aids and antidepressants, which was the reason Chris Cornell hung himself.
Right.
It's crazy to me that somebody can just take a little bit of medicine. I mean, and don't get me wrong, mental health is a serious thing, but this guy had everything going for him. I mean,
well,
what I mean? Maybe.
As far as you know.
I know, and you're right.
I mean, yeah, you never really know what somebody's going through.
Yeah. But
unless you live with them.
Yeah, I'll say this about
I'll
say this about Tony Scott. From 91 to 95, top of the fucking food chain as far as movies and I mean, he made 3 straight fucking movies: Last Boy Scout, True Romance, and Crimson Tide. Man, I would challenge any director in a 5-year period or 4-year period to come up with a better list than that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
That's and those are 3 of my fucking favorites, dude. I absolutely fucking love all 3 of them, and they're very different. I mean, I guess True Romance and The Last Boy Scout have some similarities, but really they're all 3 very different movies, and they're all very fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and that's true. I even like Man on Fire. I mean, I really do.
I love Fire.
Yeah.
It might be his best movie. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but it might be his best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some sequences of Man on Fire, and that's the thing. I think that's kind of what him and Tarantino saw in each other. Like, Tarantino writes things like in a way you really shouldn't write movies. Like, if you read the script, it's not really written like most people write a script. And then, like, on Man on Fire, there's, like, he shot action scenes with, like, a hand crank silent movie camera. So I think Tony Scott sort of shot things the way, like, Tarantino thinks.
Yeah.
In this very sort of visceral way. And like, Tarantino's like, he's the only person I'd write a movie for. Like, when he rewrote Crimson Tide, he's like, Tony Scott's the only person I would ever do that for. And that's why he stopped returning Tony Scott's phone calls after a while, because eventually he just wanted him to rewrite everything. So if he knew he was working on a project, he just wouldn't take his calls.
That's crazy.
He's like, because Bruckheimer and those guys, they never stopped calling.
Yeah, that's what Quentin said. He said, man, for some odd reason, it didn't matter how angry or much I disagreed, Tony would come in and just talk to me, and I would just turn into butter and just, it's totally fine, man. Just, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just had a way to talk to him. So, Yeah. So who's Tony Scott? So who's your last Boy Scout? Or this movie's my favorite Tony Scott movie. Crimson Tide is a very close second. I enjoyed Crimson Tide quite a bit.
I mean, it's. I think The Last Boy Scout might be my favorite. I mean, fuck, dude, I love it so. But I love this.
Top Gun. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
But dude, Top Gun was so influential. Like from our age, like it was the coolest thing ever. It didn't matter that the movie was.
And that was his second movie.
Yeah, it didn't matter that.
I challenge you to go back and watch Top Gun, Garrick. And let's. I
got a need for speed.
Let's regroup on that, maybe. And
I just remember Kelly McGillis's tongue going in Tom Cruise's during the love scene, and I'm like, whoa, what's happening there?
I was just wondering why there was a Cabbage Patch doll on screen. Jesus Christ. Talk about not aging well. Go back and watch that. You got like the best looking dudes on the planet and a fucking potato head. Like a Mrs. Potato Head. That's what she reminds me of.
Let's pick it up.
And I'm sure she's nice, but Jesus Christ, I'm glad that she was like, I don't want any part of Top Gun 2. That was the best fucking decision she's ever made. 1,000%.
You know, let's pick it up, man. And this is off topic. But I watched Brokeback Mountain last night. And that's about an hour, 20 minutes in, I'm like, let me get this straight. You got Anne Hathaway, and you got Michelle Williams at home, you dumb fucks. And you guys want to hike up a mountain and fuck each other?
Yeah.
You've lost your fucking minds.
That's how they do it.
I don't think guys like that have the same point of view you do, Garrick.
I mean, damn. What in the hell is going on? Going fishing. Hey, you just kept seeing Heath Ledger leave his house, going fishing with Jake Gyllenhaal, and I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. I'd go fishing with her. What are you doing, dude? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Make them potato heads. Make it worth their while to hike up and get their ass raped. I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyway, listen, Top Gun is I'm going to use Lee's word. Top Gun is slick. And it's slick all the way through. And yes, it's not true romance, but it's so entertaining in its own rights.
That's just the look, man.
Right, so they put cameras on the real planes. Dude, it's Top Gun. You're right, it's not true romance, but I mean, I loved Top Gun. I always love it. And yes, the dialogue's cheesy and Kelly McGillis is not hot.
Well, it's just one of those movies I watched this week, was Top Gun. Because I wanted to watch, another Tony Scott that wasn't one of the ones I knew we'd be talking about. And visually, you can see some comparisons between this and True Romance. Outside of that, there's, they're just completely different movies.
Yeah, True Romance was kind of the end of like Smoke Machine Tony Scott.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s and early 90s, he had those smoke machines firing on full blast. Every scene has smoke in it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he got into sort of the Enemy of the State, that very sort of cutty, frenetic style. Like he's really one of the few major filmmakers who he changed his style halfway through his career. He shot movies one way, and then like in the mid-90s, he was like, I'm done with that, and just completely changed it up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very true. So, True Romance is your favorite, then, correct?
Mine?
Yes.
I'd say mine's a tie between that and Man on Fire. Those are my two favorites. And I love, I haven't seen Beverly Hills Cop 2 in forever, but I'm sure there's enough Tony Scottness in it where I would enjoy it.
Right.
I mean, there's very few of his movies I don't like. If you put it on, I'm not just going to sit there and watch the whole thing.
Right.
And Man on Fire, like the thing I love about Man on Fire is it takes, in a good way, it takes so long for the movie to get going because you have to build up that relationship. If anybody else directed it, the first act would have been 15 minutes.
Right.
She'd have been kidnapped at the 20-minute mark. And he because he's Tony Scott, he and had Denzel with him. I think he could do that because the first 45 minutes is it's slow, but it builds up. At the end, it makes the ending more worthwhile.
It makes the payoff. Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
It is definitely good shit. It's definitely good shit. All right, well, True Romance. I don't think there's anybody on our Facebook page or that listens to our podcast that can sit here for a second and go, I don't think I've ever seen that. I highly doubt that.
And if you're out there and you don't know what this is that we're talking about, go fucking buy it.
Yeah, don't even rent it. Go buy it.
Where are you going to rent it? Who fucking rents? Just go buy it.
Go buy the deluxe edition. Watch all the commentaries. Yeah. Watch all the deleted scenes, the extended scenes. Watch it all because it's fantastic.
Yeah. From
the start to the finish. Start to the finish. All right, well, you got anything else good? You watched Cabbage Patch Gun show.
I did see a Cabbage Patch Kid on Top Gun. But...
Oh, yes.
Let me ask you guys this while we're still on the subject of this movie. So, I read that Tony Scott wanted to make both True Romance and Reservoir Dogs. He wanted to direct them both. And I guess Tarantino was like, look, man, pick one.
Pick one, you ass.
I don't even fucking care.
I mean, I know you got clout and all. But...
So, just by going by the movies that we know, and I'm not asking which is the better movie because I think it's pretty obvious that True Romance is the better movie. But if you just look at the dialogue and kind of what you kind of feel and see behind the scenes, which do you think was the better script? Like, do you think it was True Romance and that's why Tony Scott picked it? Or do you think that they were probably pretty equal? Because if you watch Reservoir Dogs...
I like True Romance better.
If you watch Reservoir Dogs and then you watch, say, Inglourious Bastards, you're not going to be able to tell that it's done by the same director. Because it doesn't look like it doesn't look like a QT movie. It has kind of the dialogue and all, but it doesn't have the look and it does, I guess, that timeline jump thing that he likes to do. But outside of that, pretty straightforward movie.
Yeah.
So, I watched them both, and I'll be honest with you, I think Reservoir Dogs was probably a better script that, unfortunately, Tony Scott didn't get to make, and Tarantino did, because I think had Tony Scott had an opportunity to make Reservoir Dogs, I think it would have been just as good, if not better, than True Romance.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think Reservoir Dogs was more talky. That was more Tarantino. A lot of it took place in one room. True Romance was all over the place. It needed to be stylistic. It needed the...
I'll say with Tarantino being a first-time director, it's better he directed True Romance Reservoir Dogs as opposed to True Romance because, like Garrick said, it's like the movie I was talking about on Netflix, the Chadwick Boseman movie. True Romance is basically a play,
Right.
And 90% of it's in one location.
You mean Reservoir
And
Dogs?
even like the other ones, they're dialogue scenes in, bars and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a better fit for a first-time director.
Sure.
Had True Romance been Tarantino's first movie, I don't think maybe he would have gotten the chance to make Pulp Fiction right away because of Reservoir Dogs being such a contained movie, is able to show off what he can do. Whereas True Romance being his first movie, in more locations, there'd been more chances for him to fuck it up, basically.
Way more challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Sure. Yeah. I'm with
But I would love to see a Tony Scott Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. I think
you would probably see the robbery in that one.
Oh, you definitely would have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not going to go like bouncing around. It's going to be a start to finish kind of a movie.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been very interesting had he made it. But I'm happy, like I say, wait,
the movie that Tarantino heavily borrowed from the Hong Kong movie City on Fire is pretty much that movie. So that you can already see that if you want to.
That's true. There you go.
If you go literally, it's City on Fire and Reservoir Dogs are very similar.
Yes. That's a fact.
All right, so what did you think about?
Oh, Garrick and I, we did watch something in common this weekly. I don't know if you if you maybe had a chance to watch it as well. I watched The Little Things, which is on HBO Max. The Denzel Washington and Rami Malek and your favorite and mine, Jared Leto's.
The human Rufinol himself, Jared Leto.
Yes.
However, he may be the only good thing about that movie. And I'm going to just be honest.
You did not like it.
I'll tell you what, I liked it up until the shovel.
Really?
Yep, I thought they were building something really cool, and it was very looming, and he had the shovel, and he kept digging the holes, and I'm like, oh God, where are they going? What's Jared Leto's plan? This is really creepy. And then he goes, whack.
You didn't like...
And then I'm like, wait a minute, now it's just this is really how this is going to go down?
Lee, have you seen this?
No.
You have zero intentions of watching this.
No, it looks... You remember those movies like Kiss the Girls and all those movies in the 90s?
That's what it feels like. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Seven.
That's what
like
it looked like to me, and I didn't really like those movies in the 90s, so I'm not going to...
Right.
It's like virtuosity, only there's no computers, and it sucks.
No,
Well, first of all, I guarantee I watched Virtuosity 3 times before I watched this movie.
Wow.
Okay.
That's impressive. No. It had good. It felt good for a little bit. I didn't need him to be the bad guy. I just needed it to end differently. Like suddenly they're just covering him up, and so you liked it.
I bet this was a really fun read. That I don't know who the director is. I didn't write it down. I'm not going to.
John Lee Hancock.
Right. In the hands of maybe a different storyteller, director, this might have been something that I think you would have really, really liked. And don't get me wrong, man. I really did not enjoy the performances of anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't think Denzel was very good because he's
same old shit.
He's kind of like haggard Denzel now. Rami Malek was just weird. He was just fucking weird.
Yeah.
He didn't bring anything to it. He was just an odd fucking character. And Jared Leto just tried to be a creepy 50-year-old, which he is.
That worked very well for him.
So of course that part was fine. Like Jodie couldn't get over how he looked, man. She was just like, look at him.
He looks terrible. He did. He looks creepy.
He was very scrawny and just, he's got those kind of
overweight. They had him wearing clothes, and he was limping. Like
he was all into it.
He's great.
He was great in it.
Yes.
But you can't really talk about this movie without talking about the end. And I like the way that it was done.
Right.
But you want me to just fucking bust the nut?
See, for me to watch it and enjoy it, it would have to end with Denzel emptying a clip in Jared Leto's chest.
Well, it's pretty close to what happens.
Yeah. Then reloading, taking a sip of soda. He's already dead. And then just cocks the gun back and just empties the gun again.
Right. So, you've got a string of murders that are very similar to some murders that had happened some years before. Or that's happening in a different town where Denzel is. And he comes back to where he used to be like the lead detective. Rami Malek is the new lead detective, and they're looking at all this stuff, and Denzel has a very odd way about him. He looks at things in a very different kind of a lens. And he kind of, in a very roundabout way, discovers Jared Leto's character. And they do this little cat and mouse thing because Leto's just being fucking weird and creepy. And eventually Leto gets to Malik, and they kind of have this discussion about these people that have been killed, and he convinces Malik that he knows where this missing girl is, and takes him out to the desert to dig her up, and he's just fucking with him and saying, "Oh man, sorry, wrong spot." And Leto begins to talk something about Malik's family. He's married and has a couple of children, and he just snaps and fucking kills him with a shovel. And by the time Denzel gets out there and figures everything out, you know, he's like, "It's fine, he did it. Like, just fucking bury him and let's get the fuck out of here." And at the very end, you notice a piece. Denzel sends Malik this piece of evidence that is supposed to make him feel okay about what he's done. Basically saying that Jared Leto had been the guy.
Right. Can I footnote this?
Sure.
They, earlier in the movie, they distract him, and Denzel goes into Leto's house, finds a box with all these clippings of the murders and stuff, comes back out, and Remy says, "Did you find a red beret? That's all we need. We need a red beret." Anyway, go ahead.
Right. So he sends this to him, you know, and you can tell that Malik's character is kind of fucked up. He's just sitting by the pool and he's looking at this thing. And then they go back to Denzel and he's burning all of Jared Leto's clothes and all this stuff of his. And the last thing he grabs out of a truck is a thing that has different berets on it, or barrettes or whatever, and the red one is missing. And he throws it on the fire. Because Jared Leto may or may not have been the killer. It doesn't matter.
Denzel was just sending him that red beret to try to make him feel better for killing the guy.
Right. Just trying to make him feel like it was justified. I didn't hate it. I know it has gotten a bunch of shit, but I didn't hate it. Because of the way it ended. You hated it because of the way it ended.
I just was waiting for something. They could have done a gazillion other things. It could have been somebody else. It's just, man, they just had us locked and sinkered. I don't know, man. Like, you're right. Maybe I was looking for the Hollywood ending. Maybe I was expecting something completely different. But.
Well, I mean, they had you locked in like they had Remy Malek's character locked in on Jared Leto being this guy. But at the end of the day, you don't know if he was the fucking guy or not. But what they did, and they got away with it, and it doesn't matter. And I thought it was cool.
There's a zillion cops that do that all the time.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I just thought it was an interesting take. A lot of the stuff, though, like the whole driving thing, when Denzel's like on that road and he's like kind of following him, and then what the fuck was all that? It's like 10 minutes in the middle of the movie. It made absolutely no fucking sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, the meat of the movie I really didn't care for, but I did like the end. I thought it was a cool ending. So, did you watch anything else?
I watched an old movie, Paul Schrader, written and directed, freaking forgot how good it is. A slow burn, you know me, I like my movies, but Affliction with Nick Nolte and James Coburn.
Very good movie.
Oh my gosh. Like, you know, that's one of those movies, man, that nothing really happens, but it's just so good. Like, they don't make those movies anymore where it's Paul Schrader who wrote Taxi Driver. Of course he can say, hey, I'm gonna write this story about this guy goes insane, but kind of goes insane over the course of this winter, and because he's just can't get out from the shadows of his abusive, violent father. I mean, nobody would ever greenlight that for me, but it's so good. Like, it's just this small town, it's a small story that it's creepy, and the performances are great.
But I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since it came out.
Holy shit, man! And the scenes where I don't know if you remember it, Lee, but the scenes with his daughter, it's so uncomfortable. Like you feel so uncomfortable for that little girl because he's just so. It's just a good movie. Willem Dafoe's in it, kind of narrating.
Nolte.
Nick Nolte. It's.
Does James Coburn play his father?
James Coburn plays his father, and he's drunk.
I like said, I haven't seen it forever.
He's a violent. He won the Oscar for that movie, and it's for supporting actor because it's so good. And Sissy Spacek's in it, and it's funny because it's about like a, you know, there's all this like inner turmoil going on with all these all the characters and some rental properties and some rich people and some things going on that kind of pull you along, but then when you realize at the end it's really just all kind of in his head, man. It's so good. It's such a good movie. I love it.
So you watched that?
Yeah, it's a very good movie.
And Brokeback Mountain.
I did watch
that was your fucking selections.
Well, no, I watched a couple more, but I'm not going to drag them out.
All right, okay, save them.
Yeah, I'll save them.
Save them.
Yes, I watched Brokeback Mountain. I like the landscapes. It's great. I mean, the story is great. I have a problem with this is so. I didn't believe him. I just didn't believe it. Like it was I understood, and when it came out, it was, you know, everybody was like, oh, you know, this is the first movie like it. Okay, that's great. First movie like it. It's a man-man relation, you know, love story. I didn't believe him, man. Heath Ledger was just too like country. He was too west. Like he was just like, hey. I don't know, man. It's hard to explain. See, I'm trying to explain without having to, you know, I don't want to piss anybody off. You can't really say anything, but I just didn't believe where there's some love stories like The English Patient. Yeah.
What the fuck has happened?
Actually, you know what?
Can you chime in and
I'm
get
trying
this?
to be nice, Doug.
No,
I forgot.
Fine.
Oh, damn.
There's love. Look, listen. Christian.
That's an example.
Clarence in Alabama. They get together one night. They bang. The next morning they're in love, and she's a prostitute. I believe that before I believe these two guys would go every 4 years up and hike in the woods and had this like hidden love for each other. I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it.
If it was since it was two straight actors, if that movie was made now, it would probably be made with two gay actors.
I don't think that, but I
think that would have helped.
No, I don't. I think it was Heath, man. I think Heath is great, but I just didn't believe him and Jake. Like it didn't work. Jake was. I don't know, and I love both of them. They're both really good. I didn't buy it. It didn't make me sad. Like when Jake's character gets beat up in a hate crime at the end, I wasn't sad. I would have been sad, but I wasn't sad. I was like, eh.
I saw that the woman that penned this or wrote the novel, or
Larry McMurtry also wrote it. Larry McMurtry's he's brilliant.
Was basically like, I wish I'd have never wrote this. So take that for whatever you will.
Well, and that makes sense. Like, I understand where they were going, and you know, of course, it's groundbreaking to do that. And
who directed it? Was it Ang Lee?
Lee.
Yeah, Ang Lee was at the height of his career. I just didn't believe the love story, and you know a great fucking homosexual love story, The Birdcage. Robin fucking Williams and Nate, what's his name?
Nathan Lane.
Yeah, Nathan Lane. That's the best shit ever. And it's believable. It didn't work. And maybe I should have read the story, but it didn't work. And that's why I kept saying, and you got Anne Hathaway and Michelle Williams at home. Boys, don't go fishing. Stay at home. You're idiots. Anyway, that's all I watched.
Okay. Lee, did you see anything, fella?
The other week we had this whole, chaos on Wall Street with the whole GameStop thing. And I was talking about it with Bonnie, and the only way I could understand it was by watching Trading Places.
Nice. Yes.
Which I think is still, even compared to The Big Short, I think is still the best movie about finance ever made.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened was it was the plot of Trading Places. These guys figured out how to screw over some rich guys and make their money. And Trading Places, from 1983, to me, it's one of the best comedies of all time.
Yeah.
Like Garrick was talking about Brokeback, anything held up. Even the train scene at the end of Trading Places, where Dan Aykroyd walks in with a dreadlock wig and shoe polish on his face as a Jamaican guy, it doesn't seem offensive. Like, there's some movies, like, it just, even you saw something like that and you'd be like, oh my God. Like, with him and Eddie Murphy, they're playing off each other so perfectly. It doesn't seem like they're doing anything offensive because he's not trying to be a black guy. He's just trying to get this information so they can screw over these two rich guys. You know, it doesn't like, because it's like, I just love the movie. It's one of my favorite comics.
It's not like Soul Man with C. Thomas Howell.
No, exactly. Like, good, excellent point, Doug.
What's that one streaming on these days?
Of Soul Man.
God. But I was offended when it came out. I was like 12 years old. I was like, what the fuck is this?
So I'm sitting there as a 12-year-old going, now, I'm white, and I'm pretty sure this is offensive.
This is wrong. The only reason I got stuck to it is because I was huge into fucking Rae Dawn Chong. I thought she was fucking beautiful.
Oh, God, she was.
But you want to talk about... Man, maybe the most offensive fucking movie ever made.
I remember.
Soul Man.
A Hollywood
what
movie.
Did he turn into a black guy or something?
Yeah.
C. Thomas Howell in an afro with shoe polish on his face.
Hey, it worked for Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
He's playing a guy doing blackface. Soul Man is the character is doing it.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah. To stay in college.
If they were making a movie about a guy doing Soul Man, like, yeah.
Fucking, you want to talk about worst of the worst? Go ahead and see if you can find that one streaming somewhere. I challenge anyone. I bet that fucking movie is buried.
The little thing, I'll treat that like Leo treat the little things and just not. I'll take your word for it.
Right. Smart move.
I have like memories from the mid 80s of it, but I can't really remember. He's trying to get into college.
I think he's there, and then he's going to lose his scholarship or something, and
affirmative action or some shit.
Yeah, and I think one of his professors is James Earl Jones, and Rae Dawn Chong is in it, and it was just the most offensive fucking thing that's maybe ever been produced by Hollywood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doug said he would rather watch Birth of a Nation than...
I was getting ready to say, that's a heavy piece. Birth of a Nation is pretty offensive.
Well, give Soul Man a day in court if you can find it.
Another thing I watched was a documentary called QT, The First Eight. Just a Tarantino about documentary, a documentary about Tarantino that goes from Reservoir Dogs to The Hateful Eight. Basically, his first 8 movies. And they interview Michael Madsen, Samuel L. Jackson. Basically, they interview everybody but Tarantino. And it's like I said, it's a talking head documentary, but it's pretty entertaining.
I gotcha.
What's that on?
I'm on Stars. I watched it on Stars.
Jesus.
He probably got like the free month and...
No, it's 99 cents a month for 3 months.
See,
yeah, I got back on Shudder, man, because I wanted to see some stuff, and I'm like, I put out all our subscriptions on a piece of paper. Carrie gave me the okay. She says, heck, it's still cheaper than cable. And I'm like, yeah, we're still about $40 cheaper in cable with HBO Max and everything else. So,
well, we're not going to talk about that because I have cable and fucking it seems like everything. So we're not going to talk about our entertainment bills.
Yeah, but you've only got one a child. I've got 5.
What the fuck does that matter?
Well, you know... It makes a lot of difference. I'm sure your budget is a little bit. You probably have a little bit more space in the entertainment, but piece of the pie.
I might as well just set my money on fire, Garrick.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you know.
Well, you watch a lot, though. I mean,
I do, but
Garrick, did you say you still had Shudder?
I actually got it back because I wanted to see some stuff.
Have you watched One Cut of the Dead?
No.
You should watch that and tell me what you think.
Okay. Yeah.
Just as a filmmaker, I would like to know what you think.
One Cut of the Dead?
Yeah.
All right, man, I'll check that out. I actually got it back because I want to make a short, and Doug and I are hashing out our idea. I'm not going to send over the airwaves because I don't have it trademarked, but I'm gonna do a short, and I want it to be a very bloody short. So I'm actually doing my research, and I'm interviewing nurses right now, ER nurses, and I'm watching a lot of shitty movies on Shudder to see how they're doing things, and how they're shooting things, and how they're angling things. And
okay.
So yeah, that's why I got back on Shudder, to be quite honest. This too. So yes, I will be happy to check out One Cut of the Dead as research for what we're attempting to do.
Our pick a flick selection this week is another early '90s crime movie starring Gary Oldman called Romeo is Bleeding, and it's a love story of sorts with lots of murder. Gary Oldman plays a cop who moonlights as a hitman for the mob, and they ask him to kill this woman named Mona, who is sort of whacking various members of the mafia. She's basically trying to take over this mafia family, and he does the opposite. He starts sleeping with her, and then just it all goes haywire. It has Juliette Lewis, Annabelle Sciorra. It's really cool movie.
Next week is the next in the chronological order, which would be Natural Born Killers.
Very nice.
A movie that...
as complimentary as Tarantino was about Tony Scott's version of his script, the opposite can be said about how he feels about what Oliver Stone did
to his
with this.
Yes.
So
that is the truth. So we'll get into all that and Oliver Stone and Oliver Stone's crazy films and crazy adaptation of
put
this.
a fucking American Indian in it and and sign it off as an Oliver Stone movie, man.
I'm going to try and read the Quentin Tarantino script. It is online.
Which one?
The Natural Born Killers, the original. Going to try, knock on wood, over the weekend to actually read that script so that I can really chime in on the differences. It's out there, and I'll put it up on the Facebook page when I find it.
From what I've read, there's no similarities.
Yeah, it's completely different. And I'll also put up our poll. I know it's going to be a very hard poll to figure out, but I will put up the poll, the best true romance secondary characters. See who we all think is the best. Will it be Drexel? Will it be Floyd?
If they like the intro to the show, it's probably going to be Drexel.
That's correct. So we'll see you next week with Natural Born Killers.